And you don't stop. Coco assure this year they gonna lock you up. Coco the truth does offend them people in soft. They might just pay a man to bump you off. But I go sing till I crow or until I fall. And if I dead send I reach to me funeral. At a Robinson on behalf of the African. With 2 seats press you had the ball in your hand. I spoke to Leroy Clark and Capra Cambon. And up to now them can't understand where went on. You went and was knighted up in Africa. But to you black brother, you prove a traitor. If Abu Bakr return and the shooting start. And if your daughter should cross the Prime Minister's path, all you look for that. Slavery on the plantation. Master used to use a black man to beat black man. So when I hear 17, I got a pain. I say, oh God, black man go beat black man again. Cause black man give black man soup, but black man want ham. Black man intention is to pressure his own black man. He give them soup, they say he treat them like an outcast. So now black man takes smoke in ya. Dr. Robinson on behalf of the African. With 2 seats press, you had the ball in your hand. I spoke to Leroy Clark and Capra Cambon. And up to now them can't understand what went on. You went and was knighted up in Africa. But to you black brother, you prove a traitor. If Abu Bakr return and the shooting start. Mighty masquerade is done and wicked shall start.
It's amazing how people could change. I say, little shock, I can't understand. I am so disappointed in man. Man make me cry, tears run from my eye. And all I could ask is what's the reason why? Cause man fighting power, he fighting greed. Oh God, man making blunders for selfish need. Man gon' call your brother, but man so slack. Say man with a dagger stabbing your back. I mesmerized, shocker, still in dismay. Look how they treat me in the folk fair the other day. Chalky was thunder, Chalky was tough. Chalky was power, Chalky was rough. All politicians respected this Calypsonian, who always seemed to look out for the poor man. But since Daphne Philip brainwashed the brother and make Chalky director of culture, since he got big position, he start acting strange. It's amazing how people could change. As they get in power, their plans rearrange. It's amazing how people could change. You're bound to agree. It's lies we're on in this whole country. Look at Chalky boil right down like Baji. Lies we're on in this whole country. I took time off and thought about man, unassuming, hard to understand. One day man could peep up the ladder, next day man could be the prime minister. Man to the basic, callous and sly. If God was on earth, man made God cry. When I hear we send Peter did to Christ, man does appear good, but man not nice. A man who used to fight to get criminals free, today that same man preaching righteousness to we. Check most of the cases that Ramesh won. State witness, boom boom. Guess what he gets done? But Ramesh big like Tarzan, now swinging on vine, telling you execution in record time. Baka say he promised him the deed for the land. Soon as Baka help him win election. But after election, Ramesh start moving strange. It's amazing how people can change. As they get in power, their plans rearrange. It's amazing how people can change. You have to agree. Lies were running this whole. Baka come with the tape. Ramesh Paul, not me.
Lies were running this whole country.
Limbs missing man does bother me, pal. Man is such a big weak animal. The head of the animal kingdom. But man so deceitful and act so dumb. Man relishes incest and corruption. Oh God, the thing of this woman, here most is man. When man hear black, drink rum, drunk, cuss, don't think. When man here get white, say I don't drink. A man who used to have so much venom to speak because he can't live at the man of some so weak. Wade Mark was thunder, Wade Mark was tough. Wade Mark was poor, Wade Mark was rough. But after election, Wade Mark just changed his style. Yeah, Wade Mark now, he does sound like a child. And now since Pandeha, he own driver. He could introduce the breathalyzer. Since he got drunk in the backseat, he acting strange.
It's amazing how people can change.
As they get in power, their plans rearrange.
It's amazing how people can change.
Well, let us stop. Come.
No, it's time. Whoa. Don't come to me now. I don't want to hear nothing. All you go and leave me alone, man. I don't want to hear all you. Well, I don't want. To write for the year 2001. Should I compose a nation building song or just blaze them politicians? But when I hear Pandey get 19 seats and he run and give a speech of victory, I tell myself something wrong, so I compose this song for kinky head people like me, because I don't understand what's really happening. For years, me crooks and panther was busting, we live a string. When I honestly believe the message was loud and clear. But the results from the elections proved to me stick breaking black man air. We don't hear. So don't expect me to jam your prime minister. No, don't tell me. I stopped drinking bush tea for your fever. Don't tell me. Cause you ain't do it once, but you did it twice. Elections fun is you choose Barabbas in front of Christ. So if you notice your little daughter bringing home a grand, because Kana sent she to a school inside the Bitam. And when she bring home the baby father, the man is a tyrant just like Pandey. Please don't stop me in the road to complain, cause I have nothing to say. My personal comments I will reserve.
You get some government you deserve.
So complain to me now, boy, you got some nerve. You get a government you deserve. that line that hit me. Try my best to put sense in black man head. The consequence, I was not afraid. But when I see Keith and Daphne on TV, deep in my heart I felt betrayed. Cause I remember in 1998, I got chastised when I sing this song. But if I did like game, I would have take out she name and deceitfully win me crown. UNC corrupt like hell, but Sat Maharaj wouldn't say so. As black man open me mouth, he find that man in should go. To these negative response from the black man, I'm not surprised. Because I've come to one conclusion. To the black man is his own demise. He ain't wise. So don't tell me nothing about the EBC.
Don't tell me.
Because I sure some of you vote for UNC.
I said no. Don't tell me.
Don't tell me that they cancel the URP and that you can't get work to maintain your family. So if you end up just as a criminal on the run, because all the promises that they make, they ain't keeping none. And civil servants can't get it back pay, plus yourself can't get a 10 days. Please don't stop me in the road to complain, cause I wouldn't be amazed. My little knowledge now I must preserve.
You get a government to resolve.
To resort to protest now, you got some nerve. You get a government to resolve. Ding ding ding. Ding 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 ding. And you got to live with it for the next 5 years. It's from the public I get my lyrics. You just give me inspiration. You just give me the strength and courage to slaughter them politicians. But when I see you supporting Pandey and condoning all that is wrong, it's like giving me bread and a full glass of milk, then you turn wrong and kick it down. And they call businessmen parasitic oligarchies. But today just wanna do crazy.
And a good night to you, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Once again, it is time for Talking Points. My name's Sheldon Scott. I'll be here with you up until the 10 o'clock hour. Maybe even a little after, you never know. Hope that you all had a fabulous Whitsuntide today. Yeah. You know, we had the Whitsuntide games taking place over the weekend. A couple hundred, yeah. From throughout the Caribbean, we had several athletes here. In fact, several of them, they're still here. I think they're leaving more tomorrow and so on. So we say a special good night to all the contingents from the various islands. I think there's a very large Vinci contingent down here. We say a special good night to them. And let me say a special good night to each and every one of you in the Talking Points. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, on the YouTube. Let me see those of you over on the Facebook. Well, watch. I get word for so yesterday for not calling people name. Yeah, but folks, I just can't see all the names. So I just call out who I seen at the beginning. I just call out as much as possible. All right. So let me see. Yeah. I'm in that situation again tonight. So I have to shift like this to be able to pick up the names. And for me to see the names, you had a commenter. Nice. So I'm seeing Wendy and McGuire. Good night to you, Lona. Let me see, Nakisha, Candy James, Lynn Joseph, good night to you. I'm trying to make out this name. Natasha, I think it is, right? Linda Imelda Francois. Let me see, Jillian, ShopRite Duncan, good night. Nadia, Martin, Olive, Paula, good night to you. Cicely. Let me see, Martin. I'm seeing Mavis. I'm seeing Leonard. Kishon, Dominic. All right. Let me see. Jillian Noel, good night to you. Cynthia, good night. James Arnold, good night to you. And McLean. Let me see. Marcella, Hostin, good night. Kenisha, good night to you. Tati, good night. Let me see, Natalie, Meryl, Wago gal, nice. Ingrid, Martin, right? Jill Williams, I always say Gil. Jill Williams, good night to you. Red Girl, let me see, Joylyn, Norma, Ashley. Hey, Ashley, God brother Wago. Right, Wallan, June, nice. I'm seeing you there. Let me see, Shauna and Jackson, Marishan, good night to you. Norman, good night. Martin, and let me see, I'm seeing Joan is there. I'm seeing Teresa is there. I'm seeing Maudlin is there. Let me see over on the YouTube who I'm seeing. I'm seeing Magdalene. Hey, Nimrod Oliver, good night, bro. Rebecca, Kim Creedland, Wendy, good night to you. Bernadette, Maria, Hillary, Michelle, Eliza, Andrea, Lydia, Maria Noel, good night. Anne-Marie Celestine, good night. I got your message. All right, baby daddy, I'm seeing you as well. Joyce Phillip, yeah, I see you locked in. All right, my dear. All right, Amanda, Sarah Lynn, good night. Gemma, Hermina, Henry, Good Life, Sky, Beavis. Yeah, Beavis, bro. You're right. Nice. Devin, Alcy, Denise, Dominic, Angie, Kathleen, Gavin, Wilma, Devonish, good night. Jillian Coban, good night. Shajan, Phyllis Mitchell, Deborah, Errol. Let me see. Wilfred. I'm seeing Shenron, Paula, Matthew Bowen, and I see you in early as usual. Alan Jones, good night to you. All right, and good night to my little friend. Nice. April, Mayana, Listra, good night to each and every one of you on the live, and those of you just joining. Let me shout out Baltazar, good night. Yeah, Bakes and the crew. All of you that are down there listening to Talking Points, let me say a special good night to you. Special good night to the St. Patrick's crew. Always locked in. Those of you in Karaku that could listen, if you have current tonight and you could listen, we say a special good night to you. We know the situation when it comes to electricity in Karaku is a rough one. Folks, we're going to be joined by Mr. Gregory Bowen at 8:30. We're going to be having a short discussion. So we'll be joined by him around that time. I'm just making sure everything is working properly, yeah? Just making sure.
So much people complaining about the government. I wonder why they're complaining when it's only 1 year they spent. They come in and complain to me, which I find strange, because the election victory, majority voted for change. So then I start to wonder, what is some of them seen? Why complain to this fella when they know my color is green? It seems like they don't have patience. That's the reason why. Or something pricking the conscience. They just cannot satisfy. Don't blame me. Don't complain to me. Why complain to me?
Yeah, right now trying to pay attention to 7 screens at the same time. 3 on that side. Well, 4 on, and oh my goodness, it's just here. And just letting the numbers build as well before I get into our first conversation, before we bring on Mr. Gregory Bowen, the Deputy Political Leader of the New National Party, former Member of Parliament for St. George Southeast, former Minister of Finance, former Minister of Works, former Minister of Agriculture, former Member of the Senate. We're going to be having a nice chat with him. Hopefully I'll be able to bring it up properly. So in a little while I'll be running my test to make sure that everything is working properly there. Yeah, some people was asking me if we having program tonight. No, I said we having program, you know. And let me just say a special good night to all of you here. I get so much hug yesterday, I thought I was working for Huggies, right? So to all of you that I met many of you for the first time. Some of you I know over the years, and we always meet at different activities, and so it was just a pleasure meeting all of you yesterday. And of course, folks, to those of you that may not know, I'm speaking of the New National Party's Fun Day yesterday. It was real nice, you know. In fact, I wonder if I could pull up something on it. Let me see.
If they vote for NDC, you giving them a grand. Now you're from the government, you bring youth empowerment. All who are getting 700 right now, they're getting a cent. 7 months now they gone home. You leaving them to roam.
You know what? Let me just run some of it so you could see some of what took place yesterday. You understand? Yeah. Let me just let you all see some of what was taking place yesterday. All right. Nice. Yeah. We had to take a look, man. Yeah. All you had to see what is love in the house. You understand? Yeah. You know what? I wonder if I have a tune for that, boy. Yeah, let me see. I think I have a tune there. We go play for that, man. Let me see if I could find that tune there. Let me see. Yeah, I have one. I will start with, and I will put our next one right after. Nice.
Don't call the radio station.
The new national party, the party for Halloween. Make scene. Show your green. Keep going, 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 keep going. Progress, keep going. Success, keep going. NNP, keep going. All are we. Keep going. NNP, keep going. Democracy, keep going. Prosperity, keep going. Stability, free food, free water, more infrastructure, health for agriculture, so we could live better. Business development and foreign investment. So far Grenada come, let the progress go on. Go green, go green, go green, go green, show green, more green, go green. Go green, go green, go green, go green, show green, more green, go green. Tell them so we don't want no change, we don't want the country rearrange. Tell them don't take that backward step and next thing you regret. So stay with NNP for more stability, 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 for more for more stability. Let the progress continue.
So that's just to let you all get a little view of some of what took place yesterday. You know what happened? There load a lot more pictures, but I realized only some of them were coming up.
95 we rule this country, the new national party, democratic administration, show plenty progress in my land, opportunity for the young people, the money program, and skills training too. We taking Grenada to a higher level, concession farmers getting people between me and you. Don't stop the progress. Don't stop.
So as I said, in a little while we'll be joined by Brother Gregory Bowen, but quite a bit of things happened over the weekend. Outside of the New National Party's activity, we know that on Friday, the IMF did deliver their statement. Now, let me clarify this for you all. The IMF comes into a country and they meet with different groups of people in order to put together their report. What they delivered on Friday is their statement, a preliminary report, just a statement that says, we came to Grenada, we flagged these issues, we see this as an issue that needs to be looked at, that is an issue that needs to be looked at. They would flag different issues, they would give praise where praise is needed, they would make recommendations where recommendations are needed. So this is just the initial statement. This is not the report. The report is going to come out, it's going to take a couple weeks, I think, before you see that. But there's a report that they have to do that's going to be more comprehensive in relation to the state of the Grenadian economy. I did flag one thing in a brief reading. I must admit, I did not take the time and go through in my usual meticulous manner the IMF report. I just gave it a cursive reading, right? A cursory reading. And one of the things I flagged there was that they did note that there's a heavy reliance on certain things. For instance, CBI. There's a heavy reliance on CBI at a point in time that CBI is folding in different countries. Yeah, and that there are different challenges that citizenship by investment programs, the world over, not just in Grenada, but the world over, are facing. Yeah? And if we look at the Grenadian economy now, what we can see is that this government is focusing heavily on the CBI and not on other areas where they can improve the economy. So while you have heavy focus now on CBI and tourism, yeah, remember we saw what happened during the COVID pandemic. We hope nothing like that ever happens again. But right? So with heavy focus on tourism, it is fickle. One hurricane could change the entire thing. One pandemic again could change the entire outlook, right? And outside of that, you have CBI, where the United States are putting legislative measures in place to ensure that they, quote unquote, kill off the CBI program. Yeah? So you have that taking place. And in addition to that, you also have the situation where when it comes to the other countries, like the UK and the European Union, they are putting things in place so that they can kill the CBI programs in different countries. And one of the problems that they have with CBI is that with a Grenada passport, if you get a Grenada passport and you can travel throughout Europe, right, without needing a visa to enter any of the European Union countries. So that's why a lot of people who are outside of the Caribbean who may not have that facility, their passport, they need to get a visa if they have to enter any of these countries, would like to have a Grenada passport. But that is one of the selling points. This is talking points. That's one of the selling points for people getting involved in the citizenship by investment program. They may belong to countries where you cannot access the same level of travel throughout the European Union to do business and so on, or even just for vacationing purposes without having to get a visa for each and every country. Grenadians do not need a visa for all of these countries. You only need a visa if you're staying over a certain period of time, and that amount of time varies from country to country. Some might be, if you're staying over 30 days, you need a visa. If you're staying over 60, if you're staying over 2 months or whatever it is, you may need a visa, but it varies from country to country. But Grenadians can go, and we can go to, for instance, France, and you could go from France to Germany and to Sweden, wherever, within the European Union, and you can do that without having to get a visa there. They are seeking now to either A, move totally and ensure that Grenadians have to get visas to travel wherever they're going through the European Union, or at least stop individuals who get a Grenadian passport through citizenship by investment, to stop those individuals from having the same rights as all other Grenadians. So it's a challenge to the citizenship by investment program, because these individuals, they want to have the passport so that they want to have that passport so that they would be able to travel as they want to travel throughout all those places. Yeah, and now that being the selling point, that is being, they're looking at moving that, taking that away from Caribbean countries, not just Grenada, but all countries that have citizenship by investment program. Either they're going to make them say, well, okay, if it's a CBI passport, maybe the passport needs to state that, or some sort of identification needs to be made of people who are gaining citizenship through CBI, right? So that those people may not have that access, or they just, all OECS countries like Grenada and St. Lucia and St. Kitts that have these programs, that it would be removed from them. Already in the United States, you have had the removal of one category of visa that Grenadians were some of the only people that qualified for that, and that category of visa has been removed. These are the new moves. You remember years ago, you had offshore banking, and offshore banking, when some of the bigger countries realized that they were losing not millions, but they were losing billions and maybe even trillions of dollars to smaller countries that had citizenship by investment and offshore banking programs, that they decided they were going against that. And then you had all of these offshore banks having to close throughout the Caribbean. Yes, they exist in 1 or 2 states still, but generally they made it so difficult, they blacklisted countries that had banks. They blacklisted the countries and so on. So it's a similar thing that you're seeing now taking place with the CBI, because some of the people who would get the CBI, the citizenship to stay in Grenada, or one of the other territories like St. Lucia or St. Kitts, or one of the other countries around the world, some of them use it as a means of avoiding taxation in their own country. So they claim the second citizenship as a means to say, well, I'm not a citizen of this country, I would not have to pay taxes there. Yeah, so some of them use that as a means, a legal means of doing that as well. So there are many aspects to that. So if you base your entire economic plan on CBI, you can run into problems. And I think that is one of the things that the IMF have been warning about, and several other things. But that's just basic. I was just letting you all know some of what is taking place, especially with the IMF. Let me get here now to ensure that I can put up, let me just put on a song here and see how I can bring in Brother Gregory Bowen.
For there is a wind of change, it blowing through the Spice Island.
Listen to the people, Mr. PM. Don't play with the Canadian people, because the wind is turning around. That's all. Like all you did, only plan how to win. And after that, all you can do a thing. At all, poor people balling, they can't eat a meal. So what? It's like all you deaf and can't hear that still. Still waiting for one project to take off. Like it's done in as if how them could start. But prepare yourself and ban your belly, cause the wind turn around heading back for me. So I said the wind of change, it blowing in the next direction. Man, the wind of change, it blowing back where he came from. Hear the people out on the streets. We want kids, we want kids. Man, they say they're tired, they can't take it. We want kids, we want kids. Man, the country balling it sick. We want kids, we want kids. So they need a doctor to come fix it. We want kids, we want kids. Hear the young men out on the block. Man, they say they're tired of the old talk. Listen to them. Every day is blah, 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 blah. That alone. And they can't see action to back it up. Oh, Lord. Woo! I say be careful, the wind turning around. Be careful. Woo! PM like the whole country on a halt. Like your cabinet brain lock in a vault. It looks so. Teachers pondering on what they go do. The bushing program, all you cut that too. Poor people, sir. 600 million as they say you have. Why you still leaving poor people to starve? No talk about corruption anymore. Don't fool on yourself, cause the people know. They know, they know. So I said the wind of change, it blowing in the next direction. Man, the wind of change, it blowing back where he came from. Hear the people out on the street. We want kids, we want kids. Man, they say they're tired, they can't take it. We want kids, we want kids. All you know, all you lie and cheat. We want kids, we want kids. But payback is a son of a whole. We want kids.
All right, folks, so I have got my good friend. Yes. My good friend, Brother Gregory Bowen on with me. Let me just make sure he's hearing me. Honorable Bowen, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you very well, Clinton. I hope you are hearing me as well.
Yes, indeed, I am hearing you. I am hearing you very, very clearly as well. And how are you doing tonight?
Pretty good, pretty good.
All
As
right.
per usual.
All right. And I saw you at the activity yesterday. I see you shake a leg and thing too.
Yes, I did. Well, let me take this opportunity to say a pleasant good evening as we move into the night to you and to all the persons listening and viewing your program. Excellent program. And as we do in NNP, we always expand and do better with time. So we are doing well, but we're not sitting on our laurels. And I want to compliment you for an excellent program. You have the knack, way back 2008, we worked together. And I just want to ask the listening public to do what you have always been asking them to do. Get out there and make sure that people get registered and do the organization for the party. But with respect to yesterday evening, it was a lovely exercise. The people came together, they felt, they exuded the beauty of the new national party. The feelings were there, and we greet each other. We worked well. It was indeed a very, very pleasant day. And I could tell you, a lot of people who came with stress left without most of it.
Yes, indeed. And we saw as well the love and the unity within the new national party. And I saw many people who I know from ever since I have joined the new national party. I saw many people that I've known since then, and you saw some new faces as well. In and between, a heavy contingent came in from St. Andrew Northwest as
Yes,
well. A
yes,
heavy,
yes, yes,
heavy
yes.
contingent. So
Yes,
it was
exactly.
an excellent activity. Yeah.
Very, very well. I think it is needed. Yes, you had it's a political organization, but as you have rightly indicated, and all of us say and continue to say, is that the new national party they took togetherness, and I think that is what the people are trying to destroy. Some people are trying to destroy, but it reverberated. It showed itself yesterday, and everyone is happy with it. In fact, it's a springboard from which to move forward to the work ahead of us.
Yes, indeed. And as you've mentioned the work ahead for us, what is the new national party doing at this time? So we saw an activity yesterday. I know, I think it was about a week or so ago, there was an activity. Well, 2 weeks ago, there was an activity in St. George Southeast within your own constituency. What is the party up to right now?
Right now, we're doing what the political leader and the rest of the new national executive have indicated that we should be doing. Organization, organization, organization. We lost the last general elections. I think we know exactly why. And there are many issues that were not explained, or the people did not buy the fact that we are doing this in this manner for their benefit. Now they have come, most of them have realized what is at play and what is at stake. And so we are organizing the various groups in our different constituencies, getting them back out. They too perhaps did not understand. No, they are well informed, more so. Not that they were not well informed before, but the issue and the idea, take for example, the payment of pension and making everybody permanent. That is something that most people will jump for. But we are giving them the facts. In fact, they are seeing it. They are hearing the other side say exactly what we have been saying. They perhaps needed a nudge from the IMF, from the World Bank, from the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, from the world community. But they are saying the same thing. I don't know, and I doubt very much that they can do what is required to return to that path. And so we are organizing our people to get out there, bring the messages out so that people can understand exactly. Well, they know where they are going, but how we must deviate from what is going on now and get back on target. So getting the groups together, speaking with the people. A lot of people now are fearful of going out there. They're telling you that. For example, in the meetings that we had, we were doing 15 constituencies. I think we have done about 14 already, maybe one more to go, and we'll be doing that very soon. So as we get our people in touch with what we are doing, and we at the same time, we're telling them what they must be doing out there, bringing the information to the people in the community and organizing, getting the various groups so that we pass on information and getting the youth informed. The issue is the young people, they believe quickly in what they've heard. And sure, they did not put two and two together, but now they are putting it together very, very quickly. So we're ensuring that they too are part of targeted audience to receive the necessary information for us to create the turnaround necessary for our country.
Now, St. George Southeast, what has been taking place in St. George Southeast? Within some 20 or so days, the NDC administration will be celebrating its first year in office. What have you been seeing within the constituency that you have previously represented and to many people still represent, St. George Southeast? What has been taking place there, project-wise and otherwise?
Project-wise, people-wise. Well, people-wise, we have been seeing nothing much for respect to the government. Of course, the NDC party will have, does have its operatives out there, but I know that they're finding it very difficult now to go out. Theirs is not because of fear. Our people are fearful that if they go out and preach the word and preach what needs to be done, that they will be victimized. So they're in a mood where they will do it, but as silently as possible. And that exercise yesterday, that has cheered them up and has given them the wherewithal, the momentum to start to go out publicly. Because I could tell you that at the meeting that we had, many of them asked if they could listen it online because they had a cousin who worked somewhere with government and they were afraid for that cousin. They had a sister, or aunt, or a nenen, or they themselves may have something to do with related to the government and the statutory bodies. So they made it very clear, keep them in the loop. And so we have to work with this. That is why the activities, other activities, people activities, where they could see that they have comrades from the New National Party at all executive levels, working along with them, and that we could take up some of the problems. So I do believe that from the people's standpoint, that they are not progressing well for different reasons to us. We fear their fear of the government and victimization, their fear of facing the people after they had made so many promises that could not be fulfilled with them. With respect to the projects, they have completed, they're under completion of the projects that we have started. And I've mentioned one, St. Paul's, the road leading to the cemetery. The owners of the lands along the road, they gave us the land freely. All that they ask is to delineate the boundaries so that it will show on the new plan that this belongs to the government. It is part of the road. But they wanted the road to be widened so that you can have two-way traffic coming up that way, so that the vehicle, when the funeral procession is going down, somebody is not stuck there. We started that process, build the retaining wall, but lo and behold, we see that road now has been narrowed significantly. I know the people are complaining, so we hope that they will do something to revert to the proper plans, the original plans that the people gave the state the lands freely for. And that is where you'll do things without, contacting the people of law. So you just continue. If you continue along the path, but when you continue and change for the worse, that is significant. So that is one project. And obviously everything that is done, you never hear anything mentioned about the New National Party started and completed, and that they are simply continuing it. And one fundamental point I must make, when we started a project, we left money in the treasury to complete it. Then we have Marion, the Cocoa Road. That we started was near completion, and that came to a finish. But I'm not hearing about the phase 2 that we discussed with the people. If you drive along that road, you'll see a part is done. And as you go lower down, you'll know and recognize that work needs to be done there. So all they're saying, they've done this, but I'm not saying that say that they will attempt to do the second portion of the project, for which money was left in the treasury. The Library Main Road, that is nearing completion, but that again was started by the New National Party. You hear nothing that they are completing this. All you hear is they're saying, taking all the credit for it. And some are smarter than the others. Some will simply say, we walk in here, going for the photo ops, but you will never hear it mentioned. Sometimes on the news, you will hear a news reporter saying that it was started in 2020, 2021. So the public will scratch their head and say, but wait a minute, it started a while ago, but you will never hear it from them. We have the road to go from behind the police station to go down Monday Lease. You're not hearing anything about that, but monies were left in the coffers for those roads. The housing program, a lot of people received housing. The material, most material were delivered. Most of the material is delivered perhaps during the period. immediately after June 2023, and you'll see the houses and so repairs being undertaken. Well, they've changed the various crews. You know that we had the housing brigade. They've changed the people doing that, etc. And well, that's up to them. But again, it's putting people out of a job. So a lot of people in St. George Southeast lost jobs. And what our people can tell you in this constituency is that we never looked at red or yellow. We looked at the needs of people. In fact, there were some NNT people who will say, well, why don't they getting more than I do? So I will sit my people down and we'll say, you have this responsibility. If you see there are some people who need, irrespective of who they support, it is your duty to bring it up as well. There are some people who say, no, I'm not going because they were so big up with the National Democratic Congress. I would not go by the parliamentary representative before 2022 because they will say, oh, I support the other side. What am I commended for? So I made that abundantly clear. You stop that. And in every public forum, I told the people they can come. The money paid for is taxpayers' money. And the people in the office are paid for by the taxpayers. So they don't even have to come to me. They could go directly to the parliament. They could go to the other places. And the government, our government at that time, had the mechanisms to check that the people in the area are sold. So those who did not want to come, sometimes we coax them into coming, but some of them will not come. So right now, we do have the issue in the constituency, and I heard it, I heard some people say, I think, Jalen, you have a lot of ways of doing it. In various constituencies, they're asking people, for whom did you vote? Yes, that's taking place in that area in St. George Southeast. And there are some people who really want to stand up and say, I'm not saying it is the representative now who is asking, but people are saying that yes, there are people there. There's a possibility that he is in it. I'm not promoting that, but they say there are people who come in as they sit in the office. They ask them, for whom did you vote? Many of them walked away. And some of them voted for, and that's where the thing came out. But they voted for the NDC. So when they came out, when they will come out of the office fuming and said, that is what I did. I voted for the NDC, and that is how I'm being treated. But once they view you as getting any benefit under the NNP, then no matter whether you were in they just take you as an NNP, whereas we help NDC and NNP, and you will be victimized. So project-wise, those are only a few of the bigger ones. The housing, we do have people that we help, as you know, again, with the seed program. A lot of them have been removed, and we know what has happened with the seed program. Some of them are cut. And when you go out there and they tell you, but I voted for them, and that's what I am getting now. Yeah, we don't rejoice in it because we know, coming later down the road, we have the task to raise not only them, but to raise Grenada from where it was. I participated in 2013, and I could tell you the volume of work that had to be done to change Grenada's trajectory. And I will tell you, it will be 1,000 times more difficult coming up now to change that trajectory. Every time you break off from the way you were going and you go astray, to bring you back, it is more difficult. So we have a lot to do here.
Yes, indeed. And folks, we're speaking here with Mr. Gregory Bowen. Yes, our deputy political leader. We're having a conversation with him here. And I'd like to ask this question. I'm moving off of the constituency a bit now. As the former Minister of Finance, I'm hearing some talk now about, well, one minute you're hearing they lose money, next minute you're hearing they get back money. But when I read a release, I'm seeing the word being used there, reconfirmed. And reconfirmed tells me that you didn't lose anything. I'm wondering if there wasn't some miscommunication, but give us a little synopsis in relation to this issue.
Yes, that's a very troubling issue, Sheldon. you have asked reporters to question them. So when they came out and said they lost the money, nobody questioned it. In fact, the hue and cry was they lost the money because the new National Party's administration was not doing anything to advance the project. I could tell you personally, I note and I keep relationship with organizations. When the British shifted the FID from the internal structure into an arm of foreign affairs, we took note. That was years ago. We met with the Caribbean Development Bank as one community, one region. We expressed our concerns, and I don't think the British government hit it too much. That the grants and the aid that they're giving out, they're looking internally to see whether or not it will go towards their people. That went back as far as Australia. Australia promised us $5 million for the parliamentary building. Since then, we have been looking at those people who have promised us, whether it's grants or loans. What has happened? They chopped a country close to them. They took back the money. Immediately, we moved forward to other sources. We went to the UAE, and the same 5 million, we got it there. By the time Australia told us, listen, this thing, we're only going to pay for the design, we had the financing for the others in place. And that had nothing to do with implementation of this and that. It was just countries looking at what they can do and saying that the taxpayers' money is not that they will not give, but times are difficult and they should rethink how they part with the funding. So since Britain moved it out, we met, and I met with the president of the bank then, not the president, President G. I met with him, with the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Finance, and with a team, and he also had his team. And we discussed every possibility that could happen and what we should do to plug the holes. In other words, to entice the British to leave their monies in there. So it is not that monies are not under review. I believe when the Caribbean Development Bank called them to the meeting, I don't know if the Riot Act was read to them, because we were meeting consistently and having things in place. And I know for a period about 6 months, so thereafter, there was no meeting between them officially on that specific area of the Western Main Road, the UK SIF project. So they met and they came back and promoted that they lost the money. But as you said, when you look at the release that was written, it went into great details, saying that the bank said that they could not say with certainty whether the project will continue. That was not what was placed to the people. And I wonder if what is written there is also true. It could be something that you said, that the bank is saying that after reading the reports, we will review to come up with a different structure. Because they said that they were giving £16.84 million and the £6 million for the Western Main Road was removed. But in all the discussions we had before, for the 30 million, nearly 81 million EC dollars, 30 million US, it was something like 12 million US for the water project and $16 million for the road project. But as with every project, the consultants must come, work on the designs, and together with the donors and the recipient, you discuss exactly what would be done. So I believe that some discussions were held with the government to discuss how the thing will be reallocated. I don't think that the bank or the Fed will simply come to tell you, we will put now all the monies into the water program. Be that as it may, that's not as it is, that's not a problem, because you're getting your 16 million grant monies. But the point to be made is that the monies were not lost. The money is lost, and in no way you're getting it back. The monies were not lost. But this is what they portrayed to the people, to paint the NNP in a negative light. And what is worse, they're coming now to say that what? They get some new monies. That is the picture being sent, you know. All the monies were lost. And the NDC, the capable NDC, went and get a new set of monies. So, as you have rightly put it, it is the same project and the monies were not lost. And I will join you in asking the press to find out from them exactly what took place, exactly what was told to them in the first section, and why did they deliberately come to say that the monies were lost and put NNP in bad light.
Yeah, because I'm wondering if it's some sort of miscommunication or willful miscommunication on their behalf in relation to the funding. Because I'd be very interested in seeing the communication to them that says that this project is no more and they're not receiving any money under it. I'm very interested in seeing what that looks like.
Exactly. All of us would like to see that. And having held meetings with President Warren, the former president of the Caribbean Development Bank, and with the DFID representative, a beautiful young lady, all the while, together with the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Work. I know how they operate, and there was nothing in the picture. They all say we'll stay together. We had contact nearly every month on the project, how it is going, where we'll be going. So if you stop that for a while, so under that project, you had the woven to the cliff. And when we look at the monies coming out from the consultants, we indicated in the Caribbean Development Bank, well, we'll either fund that component ourselves, and the bank decided we will chip in and help you. The Western Main Road was a lot more. We said that we will fund it ourselves, and we're glad if you, the CDB, will chip in and help us. That is because during the COVID, the debt to GDP ratio rose. Remember, it was 57, we were getting it down to 55, but COVID came and everybody agreed with us. We had to borrow to look after our people, and it went way back up to the 79, close to 80. So with the buffer we had, we decided with our donors and the whole community how we would use it. We would not borrow for capital projects, but we'll do capital projects because that's where the growth come in. But we'll carry on the programs with the programs that we had before to ensure that we build that buffer. We build the buffer that we're using now. So as the economy expands, I remember it dropped significantly during the COVID period. So when you see something rose now by 6%, it's 6% of a very, very low base compared after, not even, but after the pandemic to before the pandemic. So if you want to equate it, it may be just, we have not reached back to pre-pandemic issues yet. So it's still negative so far, as you say, but the growth year on year would be positive. So we have to know what we're talking about. So there we are in a deep doldrum, and I agree with you. The communication, when you watch the length at which they went with the release, it is very clear that they're trying to fix something. So we must continue to dig at what exactly happened. Were they told, were they even given the inclination that they might lose it? Or were they told that they would reallocate the project based on what this new release is saying, based on what the consultant said? And now we have no consultant on the Western Main Road, the Molina project. So we're in deep trouble.
My goodness. And folks, we're speaking here to Mr. Gregory Bowen. I know we only have roughly about 10 minutes remaining again, Mr. Bowen, but as a former Minister of Finance and knowing the state that you left the economy in, they came in and they said things was nice. They never tell you thanks, but they come in and they meet things nice. They said they meet the Treasury pregnant, which means that something had to be going right, even considering that we just came out of two of the worst years for worldwide economy, not just the Grenadian economy, but worldwide. And during that period, never having to pay late or not pay public workers and that sort of thing. How did you manage that?
We managed that from the plans we had 2012. Before we entered, we saw what was happening. We knew exactly what we had to do. So we started in 2013, putting the mechanism in place, making the necessary changes. One, capital works, expanding the economy, ensuring that we tighten the belt and recurrent wherever it's not needed. Looking after the poor and vulnerable. Because when you tighten belts, there are some people who cannot cope with the new system. You have to look after them. And the IMF just some months ago indicated, and not the team who came down here for the Article 4, it was the person second in line in the IMF who said that while he and others said that we find that some countries, including Grenada, were putting too much emphasis on the vulnerable, that we were correct. And he exhorted all countries, even the rich, to do so. And he said, when they look at what is happening in these countries, a lot of people have fallen in the economic strata. When they were in the higher stratum, they have fallen to a lower stratum. So the strata distribution has changed. And he said that we should continue to do that. So we have been walking along that line, and we were staying the course. That is why when we were met with certain difficulties, just as we brought the unions and the social partners together in 2013, we moved along the path to meet the unions and the other social partners, including the religious community, together to tell them what is going to happen if you do the things that it's constitutionally due. But we could get it done. But we could get it done in a manner that will safeguard the economy. Lo and behold, we were there, you know. Remember, we reached agreement with the unions and everybody. The co-decision came out as if we did not know that it was a constitutional issue. We all knew. When we were discussing them, we all knew. But immediately, they scrapped it and say they did not have the courage to tell their people, I went through this, or we went through this in 2013. We need to do that. We will get the government to do that because we had agreed to pay them. You know. So even if we have to bring back the original mechanisms after we were able to do so, but no, everybody jumped at it. And lo and behold, as one union leader said, but wait now, I'm talking to NNP now. The NDC is saying the same thing that the NNP is saying. But the NDC needed maybe 2 or 3 phone calls from the same people that they said I will do nothing. I'm not afraid of them. I said loudly,
Hello.
silently. They were saying such an organization, they would not do anything but 1 phone call, 2 or 3 phone calls to say that Article 4 is coming and you better wear. They change. So no longer there is permanency for all temporary workers. No longer can they pay people, the present public servants, the rate that they say they will pay them now. They can't do it. And if they go for that, will jeopardize not even the pension, their salaries. They will not be able to pay salaries. And they are not operating as we did with building the buffer. We watched and we built that buffer every day. I looked at the buffer. The former Minister for Finance in our regime, the Honorable Dr. Keith Mitchell, he looked. I looked because we recognized if anything was wrong, we will have to move and make changes quickly and dramatically. And so we went through all of this. Nobody could say they did not get paid during the pandemic, and yet we maintained the buffer. And as we move now out of the pandemic, to continue to build growth again, that has changed. We worked and we had the plans. And I believe if they called Dr. Mitchell, he would have definitely told them so. If they called me, it is our policy, it's for the country, we would have helped. But remember, the arrogance, you cannot let it be said. Boy, the worst thing in the world, you know, is to say, well, I see the NNP helping you. Well, no. That way, they don't care that is the people of Grenada will suffer, but nothing will come that way. So for your question, in how did we do it? We did it by due diligence, hard work, forward the thing, bringing the public servants together to tell them what will happen and what they must do. Yes, we were not perfect. The efficiency was not there as we wanted, but it was growing and getting better and better. So that was a plan since 2013. We have made small changes as we come along. But now we have to get a new plan for this bigger whole and for the calamity that we're facing. And even now, we're starting to look at that. While we plan for the party, we must also plan to see how we're coming out of this downturn.
Yes, indeed. And I see we're running out of time quickly.
So
It's
you
got
get
to-
take the time you want. I know that you have people to go on, so you could
No, it's
take
just
10
that
minutes and
it's
I know you
counted
have
down.
people
But it's very interesting to hear you speak of what was achieved by the new National Party on coming into office from 2013 to have the Grenadian economy in a state where it could have survived COVID-19, that we were on solid footing and that we were able to survive, because now, and we're not even within the COVID period now, but we're hearing of situations where there's no medication at the general hospital. When the report up until recently was that Grenada has been the best paying partner in the OECS pharmaceutical program. Grenada has been the best paying partner in that. So we're wondering what is taking place now when it comes to payment to the pharmaceutical fund and so on. What is causing that situation that we're not getting pharmaceuticals, even for mental patients?
That is a serious, serious issue. And I believe more and more now that the money is finished. I had a philosophy, a theory, that they could never have finished in such a short time the monies that we left there. And they have done none of the projects that the monies were left for. But when I hear that it cannot pay certain people, and those that are saying they will make permanent mainly, and they cannot pay for medication, then I'm starting to think, oh, indeed, that money is gone. It it makes me wonder, and it shows me that the work ahead to rebuild this country and to take it off the course that it is now, out of the bottom of the pit, would be significantly more challenging. In fact, yesterday, a gentleman met me, well-known gentleman, and he said to me, this thing is not easy, you know. And and then we're promoting the voice and the plans of the NNP. But he says, even a layman as I am, when I look at it, we need people. We need people to get us out of these things. And he mentioned a set of persons to me that, I was a bit taken aback. But more and more people are realizing where we are going. Difficult, and terrible.
Yeah, so any closing statements? It is just a minute away from 9, and I see my thing running down to 3 minutes. So any closing statements, sir?
Yeah, I want to just speak to the people, your listeners, and ask them to pass on the message to the other Grenadians. What we are here doing is not running down like lambasting the NDC because they're an opposition party. It is showing the people where we are going and building up the constitution, if you want to put it that way, the belly, to know that things are going to get extremely worse. When you look at the economy out there, it's not only book economy, it's a practical economy that we watched to 2010, 11, 12. We've seen it worse now. You go in, you might say you have a growth of 6%, but go in and look at the economic activities to project this growth. And if it is not there, you have what you call a book value. And that is what we see. And I want to ask the persons to work together with the new National Party, help us, and let us see what we can do. If you can get those of you in the NDC, if you can get persons, well, most of them, the listeners of NDC who are on your program, if you can get your team to change direction, do it. But one point I want to make, the rank and file NDC, I'm very disappointed because they are not getting, you don't have to tell us, but you have to get on the back of your leaders, because you saw what the new National Party did. We looked after everybody. We did not send home people and make them lose their jobs, and children cannot go to school, and they cannot buy medication that they cannot get through the normal channels, so they have to go to the private sector where the prices will be 3 and 4 times. You could say to them, but NNP never treated us like that. You must not treat the rank and file NNP in that manner. You could say, well, the hierarchy of NNP, throw them aside, and those persons, something like that, Don't do nothing for them. Okay. But you know what we did for you. Please talk to your people. In any event, the damage has been done. Let us not make it worse. Let us work together so that the pit will not be bottomless, so that we can come out from it. So, and to the people of Grenada, those listening to you, I'm just asking, you telling them every night, they have their part to play. I'm just asking them to do that. Thank you, and a good night to all of you, all of Grenada, all the listening public, all the callers, who have been calling. Thank you, Chairman, and continue with your wonderful work.
Thank you so very much, Honorable Bowen. And folks, yes, we have been speaking there with the Honorable Gregory Bowen. I still call him the Honorable Gregory Bowen. And as you could see, Zoom about to run out in less than 30 seconds.
Yes.
But I want to thank you so very much, Honorable Gregory Bowen, for joining us tonight. And we hope to have you on very soon again.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
All right. Thank you very much. Yes. Folks, we have been speaking there with Mr. Gregory Bowen. Yeah, and you heard a lot about what was going on within the St. George Southeast constituency as well. You heard of several projects that he emphatically stated money was there for those projects, but those projects have not been continued, or you're not hearing anything about those projects. So what is taking place with that? The plight of many people within the constituency and many other things. We're going to take a short break right now as I set things back in place here, because I had to kind of switch around. Yeah, so let me just make sure I touch this, and I'll be right back. Yes, and I agree with you, Walland. Yeah, he has a lot of information. I don't think 40 minutes on a Zoom could cover it. So I have to make sure, because I had to actually use an emergency backup Zoom tonight, which is why I was limited to only the 40 minutes. It is only because I used an emergency backup one, because I could not sign into a normal Zoom where I could stay on for hours if necessary. I had to sign into an emergency backup one, which is why I only had, I'm just explaining it to you all right? Because we definitely will need to have him back, especially when it comes to that UK SIF funding, because I'm saying this, I find it very, very strange that a few weeks ago, you call GBN as they normally do, and they make GBN come down there and different things like that, and then they stated to us, the Grenadian people, that they lost the funding. Now, let me tell you all this. A government doesn't simply call. Who promised you funding? Doesn't just call and say, we ain't giving you again, Yeah? They have to notify you officially. So I'm very interested in seeing that official notification that money was lost. I'm very interested in seeing that. Yeah? From the UK government. Yeah? Saying that we are no longer going to fund that project. Because I think what is being done here is that a lie is being told to the Grenadian people that money was lost. The wording could have been that we are revisiting the program, we are relooking the program. Because, for instance, if you have a project from, let's say, 2015 or 2016, right? Even if you look further up to, let's say, 2018, so you have a project, you've costed it out, you said, okay, this is the cost of materials, this is the cost of labor, etc., and all of that, right? Then, while you do your preliminary plans, you have your costs for your materials and everything in there. By the time you're ready to actually execute, the cost of the materials may have changed. And we know that main event coming from the end of 2019 and into 2022 of COVID, where you had factories shutting down, where you had shipping problems. Ships were not going, people wasn't allowing people into the country, so they wasn't allowing materials to come in. So you had an increase in the price of materials over the last couple of years, especially with a specific hike in 2020 and 2022, 2023 coming up there, the price of materials and so. So I expect, and probably what I think happened is that the UK would relook that project and say, we are revisiting, because when you look here, let's say it's pipes we're talking about. The cost of the pipes, and I'm just using any old cost here, may have been $10 a foot. Now the price of the pipes might be $15 or $20 a foot in 2023. So we have to revisit, because if we are going to give you $20 to pay for it and the labor, we have to revisit now to see if it makes sense giving you that money for the same project at the same distance that you have to do it, if we're just wasting money by giving you the money, because you can't get the material at the cost that you had it from before COVID. The cost has increased. So that we would relook the project and say, okay, now this project is going, you have to revisit it. You may have to do a shorter area instead of doing, let's say, instead of doing St. Patrick's to Grand Dance, you're going to do St. John to Grand Dance or so. And I'm just using these examples. I'm not saying that is what happened. But the UK could have said that, look, we have the funds, but we need to revisit the scope of the project to see if the funding that we've approved can cover it. And maybe even the possibility of giving you some additional funds to make up for any shortfalls that would come up there. And yes, we know when you're planning a project, you put things in place in the financing component that speaks towards increase in price of materials and so on, and incidentals and that sort of thing that's included in it. But nobody was looking forward to the whole world shutting down in 2020 and parts of 2021 as well. No one was looking for the world to shut down in those times. So it's extraordinary circumstances. So in my belief, I believe that we were lied to. I believe that Minister Andy Williams and the NDC administration lied to us. And they knew that the project was being revised, not that the project was taken away. It was being revised, but they wanted to look as heroes, as though they went and they saved a project and that another party had lost it. That's the whole thing. That is my personal belief. I believe they lie to us. Because if they can send a letter, if the letter can come saying now that, hey, and folks, the phone lines are open, and feel free to call. The phone lines are open. 440-7377 and, of course, 347-329-3101 for those of you outside of Grenada. The phone lines are open. Feel free to call. I know someone was calling when Brother Bowen was on. Someone was calling. Feel free to call. Yeah, I'm saying I believe they lie. And we have a history of them lying, even in Parliament. Like some of them don't know the difference between boys and dogs. Yeah, not because both of them is four letters long, you understand? Yeah, they know the difference between boys and dogs. Right, yeah. But we know they just lie. So we had to wonder what they're saying, because if they could lie and talk about a cabinet conclusion and up to this day keep ducking the issue and refuse to present, we're coming up on a year just now, and they still can't show a cabinet conclusion. Yeah? If they could lie about so many other things, that you could see things coming out in the papers on their behalf saying that they get X amount of money, then you find out that they get way more than that. If they could lie about those kind of things, they could lie about anything. So we have to get to the bottom of that one. And it's not just simply a matter of they say we lose it, so we had lost it. No, let us find out. We have a call online.
Yes, Brother Sheldon, good evening to you. Good evening, Grenada.
Hey, how you going?
I'm doing good.
All right, you go right ahead.
A good day yesterday.
Yes, indeed. Yes, we did.
Yes, Brother Sheldon, I believe with all my heart that these people are lying. They're trying to trick us. If you heard the tone of voice that the Honorable Minister for Implementation, that's the
MIT.
MIT, yes, that's he said in the Parliament before even he want to straighten up something. And the money that we lost, our Honorable Prime Minister and this his dedication and commitment to the people, got back the money. We get back the money. Yeah? And you could definitely hear that, what he was saying, there is a twist in the tone of his voice. But notwithstanding, I want to ask them, please. I want to ask these people, and I want you to call them out on that, to come clear with the Grenadian people and tell us what went wrong at the Treasury. How come that there are still persons who work within the system, with the public service? How is it that they are not receiving salaries, some of them? What did they do with the money that was left at the Treasury for the projects and other important activities financially? What happened to that money? Have they taken a look at the police service? Have they looked at what's going on with the rank and file of our policemen and ladies of our country? Have they considered the level of demoralization of these people? I've never seen the police forces and folks operate in such a manner, you know. I know before a police officer used to be more on the ball. They are doing the work. You can definitely see, psychologically speaking, that they are affected. You know, look at how many applications for leave and resignation that is taking place in our service. Look at that. What about the pay and grade? Have they done anything about that? What about the pension, the police officers and even other public service folks that have retired? Have they received the pension? You know when they would have applied for the leave and all of that and to resign, there is a package for them, right? It is alleged that some of these public servants, they are not receiving the package. They are not receiving the financial package to go home. Something is definitely wrong with our economy. Something is wrong. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. Well, the former minister of finance said so. We just don't know. We have to tighten our belts because it's going to get real rough. Just weeks or months from now, it's going to be rough. So I want them to answer and come clear on these policies. What are they doing? What is the action to help cushion the burdens that our people are going through at this time? Thank you, Murray.
All right, thank you very much. And 440-7377, that's the number. Remember, you can also call on the WhatsApp, 440-7377. Yeah, I tend to have a problem with the statement there. And I'm glad that Grenada is continuing to receive that money that was secured by the new National Party government for that project, yeah? But is that part about it where you lie about it and then come in to try and play the hero? I would like them present the documents. And I know that the Prime Minister is having a press conference tomorrow. I'm fully aware that the Prime Minister is having a press conference tomorrow. I think they did state that he would be addressing the issues of the RGPF. I would like the media to also ask him if he is still a CBI agent, and even if he himself, well, he can't say that he's not a CBI agent because it has to be gazetted. It has to be placed in the Gazette if his company is removed off the list. Yeah? So I'd want to know if the Prime Minister is still a CBI agent, as what the documentation that we have seen states that he is. We're interested in knowing if he's still a CBI agent, if those trips he has been taken has been in the capacity as a CBI agent, because he's going on tomorrow in the press conference. So let's see who in the media have the belly to ask him, the belly and the guts. Yeah, all you know that, right? Let's see who in the media has the belly and the guts to ask him about that. And Madam Press Secretary, you or whoever is controlling the press conference, don't come and tell us nothing about. That's not the issue up for discussion. You would be rude, fast, and out of place to make any such statement. It is of interest to the Grenadian people, and thousands, literally thousands of us out here want to know Who don't want to know is because they're damn wicked. So who wants to know? We have a right to know. He's the prime minister of this country. He sits in cabinet and he has selected the committee that oversees the CBI program. He's the chairperson of the cabinet of Grenada. The cabinet of Grenada would have to vet all these individuals who are forming that committee, the CBI committee. He owns or is part owner of a company that is involved in CBI. He is on record saying that he, Deacon Mitchell, is willing to take money from people involved in CBI for his political party. His treasurer is also involved in CBI. And his treasurer has then been given an envoy diplomatic position in relation to investment. His treasurer was also the local agent for Henley and Partners and also has her own CBI company. So we need to know, one, if the Prime Minister is involved in CBI, he has to answer that question. Two, if his company has been involved, how much has his company made? How much has his company made between the 23rd of June, 2022 and now? How many people have passed through his company as compared to the others too, the other agents and so? How many have passed through his? Next thing, his company alone that gain all the people. Or next thing, the vast majority, when you check 50 or 60% or whatever, the people that are getting citizenship by investment are passing through his company. And how does that affect him financially? Because we know it ain't going to mean he losing money, but how does it affect him financially? And does he see it as correct? Does he see it as something that is right? That he is the one signing off on the citizenship of these people that's sent by a committee that he put in place that may have been sent to that committee by a company that he has operating. So he's going on to that program tomorrow. He's doing a press conference tomorrow, I believe at 10 a.m. We're interested in hearing that. But even before that, folks, on To The Point tomorrow, I believe Brother Nolan Cox will be on To The Point in the morning. So we look forward to seeing and hearing from our wonderful brother from Karaku. Don't go and cut, cutting electricity all over. Don't cut Brother Cox electricity when he had to come on, and we ain't playing that. Brother Cox, find yourself in a place where you have a local generator, because next thing you hear, whoops, current gone, all kind of thing. Because that's what's taking place in Karaku. Yeah? Well, we know the generators come up from Trinidad, but we're looking to hear what's the long-term strategy for the people of Karaku and Petit Martinique to ensure that they have electricity on a constant and consistent basis, and also what is taking place with fixing all of the problems that they have. You hear down to the MP saying that, appliances burn and all that kind of thing, and there are many people in Karaku who are going through that situation right now. So we want to know. Yeah, so don't think that he's just going to come and speak on the Royal Grenada Police Force. No, we have been calling on the Prime Minister for months to speak about the crime situation in Grenada. And we are not saying that Grenada worse than any of those other countries around us. Grenada is still the safest, most beautiful country to visit. Let me make sure anybody that's listening to this program understands. All countries have their little mishaps and so on. But it is not a normal thing for us to have the volume of murders and so that we've had. And folks, you're safe visiting. It isn't involving visitors. It's most likely people that lose their temper and that sort of thing. In some of them are family members or interaction like that. That's what we're hearing. All right? So visitors, you don't have to worry. You don't have to say, well, afraid to go to Grenada. No. It is just that does be one too much for us. What we have so far for the year is more than we've had for the entire year last year. What we've had, the murders that we've had in Grenada, including the one yesterday, makes that we've had more in the first 6 months of this year than we've had, first 5 months for the year, than we've had in the whole of 2022. And it means, therefore, that some proactive approach needs to take place when it comes to our youth, when it comes to our community, when it comes to issues with mental health, that some proactive approach needs to take place with that. Because how could you have a situation that mental patients can't get medication but they could get gun? So you're telling me that the lives of the people that working at the mental hospital has been put in danger. Now, don't try and cover it up. We want to hear what happened there. Is it that they don't have enough security? Is it that the security is not properly equipped? Is it that somebody let something fall on the wayside? Because that's a very dangerous thing, you know. For a weapon to end up in the hands of a mental patient in the mental home. Something definitely had to be wrong with us here. So they ain't getting the medication, but they getting gun. But something had to be wrong. Something definitely has to be wrong with us for that sort of thing to be taking place. So we need to address these problems. So don't think as Prime Minister just come in and say we go deal with this and we ain't dealing with that. No. When you put yourself in front of the media, we the Grenadian people have questions. And if we have a media that's worth its salt, yes, it's sodium chloride. If we have a media that's worth its salt, they will pose these questions. The same way when they want to block the opposition leader and ask him all kind of out of the way questions. Yes, ask the Prime Minister these questions. We want to know. So you have your press conference tomorrow? Nice. All well and dandy. Press conference? Good. We did in that. Nice. Good. But we need to know what is happening. Yeah? We need to know what is happening. And we need these questions that we've been asking. We need them to be answered. We need to know where's the cabinet conclusion that you spoke about. We want to know. Were you afraid to put yourself in a position where rank and file people in the country could ask those questions? We have a call online. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Sheldon Scott.
Good night, sir.
How forward now?
I am good, as usual.
I had to ask two questions concerning River Road. One for the stadium and one for the project. Now, I remember that project it hadn't been completed, and I think most of us know.
Caller, for some reason, caller, one moment. For some reason, you're coming across really low. I have your volume right up. If I go further, it'll start to be static. Maybe you need to speak.
Better now?
Yeah, you probably need to speak a little louder into the phone. Yeah.
Okay, you hear me better now?
Slightly better, but not perfect. But go ahead.
Okay, so I was asking about that project for the River Road side. I know right now we in a time where we're seeing a lot of rainfall. And I know River Road is one of the places where it'll be flooded very easily. So are we going to see a completion in that project pretty soon, or what's going on with that project? And second of all, I want to make the appeal again towards our national stadium. We have galvanized sheeting that is missing from the roof of the national stadium. So can we see a start in making sure that the sheetings are being replaced, or what's going on?
Mm-hmm. All right. Yes, indeed, caller. And let me state again that there is a project together with the People's Republic of China for the refurbishment of the stadium facility. There is a project in place for that before the new National Party left office and within the time frame. In fact, during the election campaign, you had some of the individuals came over from China to do the basic work to start that particular project. I'm not aware as to why, up to this point in time, the project has not started. There is a project. The Chinese have confirmed that they will do that project. The money is there for that project to refurbish the stadium. I do not know why it's not started yet. Maybe that's a question again that has to be asked as to why that project has not started. I know for a fact that the first set of Chinese had already come in. They were waiting on some others who should have been in by towards the middle or the late part of last year. They ought to have been here in Grenada. So that project should have been started. I don't know, maybe they're waiting until the rainy season to go and do it. I have no idea. And as to the River Road project, I noticed the same thing you noticed, caller. And I'm wondering what is happening. Yeah? What is happening? Right? Yes, and I was saying before, there's just so many lies that are being put out there. And, they have not been able, to come to us. They have not been able to come to us and say that we lie on something. They have not been able to do that. All right? We have been able, we have been able to provide facts for whatever it is that we're saying. And I'm looking forward to getting some more information in relation to what is taking place with the River Road project, what is taking place with the stadium project. And so, as I said, tomorrow the Prime Minister is, and you can't say that's not his ministry. He doesn't know he's the Prime Minister. He sits as the chairman of cabinet, and all these things are discussed there. He may ask for some additional information. Yeah, additional information in relation to it. But he can't say that he doesn't know that kind of thing, right? He has to know something about these things, right? So 440-7377, that's 440-7377. That's the number for you. You can call via WhatsApp or you can call us directly. All right? Yes. Hey, let me say a good night, Small Axe. Yeah, I'm waiting. Papa, I'm waiting.
For there is a wind of change, it blowing through the Spice Island.
Yeah, so President, and understand the context here. While yes, in Trinidad you may have 9 dead in a weekend. You may have 9 dead in a day. You may have 9 dead in 2 days in countries like Trinidad or Jamaica. We've seen the massacre that's taking place in our sister OECS territories like St. Lucia, until some of our officers have to be in St. Lucia right now. We've seen what has taken place there. We've seen what has taken place, for instance, in St. Kitts, and so we know. And we don't want to end up so nip it in the bud. When you have these things start up, you have to put on your big boy pants and you have to stand up and say, not in my country. Don't look at it and say, oh, don't talk about that because the outside world listening. The outside world listening, but we had to live here. And we don't want it to end up like St. Lucia where you have no-go zones. We don't want it to end up as Trinidad where you have to afraid to go certain places at certain times of the day or sometime any time of the day. You have different areas you have to be afraid to go in. We do not want to end up like that. So we want to make sure we nip it in the bud now. We have a call online. Good night. Hello.
Hello, good night.
Yes, sir. You're live.
Mr. Scott.
Hi.
Hey, good night.
Good night. You're live. Go right ahead.
Good night. Good. Yeah, man. Well, I realized yesterday, Sunday, I see my boy in the midst of them, man. So they don't know what to say now. Because remember they were spreading the news about Peter David and Kit Mitchell. They can't see eye to eye.
Mr.
Well, they were seen body to body yesterday. They were seen eye to eye yesterday. So some of them, they might have to change their mouth now.
They go change the story.
Yeah, they go change the story now.
They go change the story.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Remember they say...
I see the activity real nice, man. I see real people up there, man.
Yeah. And remember they say Kate going? Well, Kate tell them straight what going on last night. She tell them straight. Don't call she name in that. Basically, she tell them, don't call me name in that. I ain't going nowhere. From the womb to the tomb. She did. So, yes, my friend.
The stadium too. Remember the roof of the stadium where the galvanized missing was in the time of the NDC, yeah? And the piece of breeze pass.
Oh, yes, yeah. It did
and
damage it.
Some of the galvanized came off. But then, not really going on. So, you really getting worse now. Because the water was in it, the sun taking it, you know? And it's getting worse. So, they need to fix that. Because we might have to do over the whole thing by the time we're ready to fix it.
Well, as I said, there is a project to fix these issues. So I'm still trying to figure out why they have not started that particular project to ensure that that is done. There is a project in place for it. You know, there is a project in place for it. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But they need to ensure that it's done.
Yeah, we already trying all like lies to thing, and the thing coming up and catch them now, eh?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, everything coming up and catch them now, yeah? Everything coming up and catch them, man. And the people seeing it now, eh? Everything was in good hands, you know? They don't want safer hands. They want to hear nice words. The nice words coming and meet them now. Because the nice words becoming negative words now to them. You see the opposite of the nice words? Yeah.
Well, my brother, Team NNP remains united and strong. One of the things that I was pretty glad to see yesterday was the large turnout of folks, specifically from the St. Andrew Northwest constituency. Yeah? And even when they come, they tell you some others want to come, but they're afraid. A lot of people wanted to come yesterday, But they're afraid, eh? They're afraid because they know if they come out, the kind of spiteful people they're dealing with, that if they come out, they have problems. So they're afraid to come out.
But I thought she said she had 70%.
Well, me ain't call nobody name, you know. All I saying is people afraid to come out because they're dealing with a group of spiteful people.
Yeah.
People afraid. You understand? So I'm looking forward to the next few weeks. Yeah, let's see. I hear all kind of thing going on happen and so, but it's the we know that they're coming up on 1 year in office. So let's see. Let's hear what's going to be happening. I know the new National Party is doing what it ought to be doing as an opposition for several years. There are people that have been calling for an opposition. Oh, we need an opposition. Oh, we need an opposition. Now you get an opposition. All of a sudden, they want the opposition. The opposition mustn't say anything. The opposition must hush.
I hope the media asks them about the 500 houses tomorrow too, because they come into 1 year too. So,
well,
they want to know about the 500 houses.
That'll build 500 houses in about 20 days. So, let me see how they get that one done. They also have to hire every money and take every worker off a contract within the next 20 days. So, let's see how that works out.
Yeah.
But these are just some of the promises that have been made, my brother. And I think they for themselves are now realizing the unrealistic nature of what they was trying to sell to the Grenadian people and what the new National Party was, as a responsible party, was saying, be careful with that. People are now seeing that the new National Party was correct. All right, my brother? All right, thank you so very much for your call. All right.
Yeah.
4407377. That's the number for you to call and get on to the inside. Say a special good night to the listeners via Real 91.9, 91.5 FM. Yeah, saying a special good night to them. Yeah, they was talking a lot over the last few weeks. I hope they continue talking, you know. They was talking a lot in the past few weeks. What happened? They get quiet now. They have nothing to say again. We have a call online. Hello? Hello? Hello, good night. Okay, I think something may have gone wrong with that caller's phone because I'm not even hearing them. Yeah. You understand? They say who go in and who go in so and who go in. Yeah, we ain't taking the propaganda and bring it here, but we just getting them a dose of shut up now. You understand? Right? Nice. Yeah. About who go in. You heard Honorable Peter David recommit himself to the work and the new National Party. You heard it from every member of the new National Party team. Yeah? We have a call online. Good night. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hi, good night, caller. You're alive. Yes, caller, you're alive. Go right ahead. Caller, can you hear me? Okay, it seems that person may be having a problem with their phone. It's definitely not on my end. All the settings remain the same. So I think the individual... caller, when you call, just speak to us on the phone. We were hearing you. But I realized you were not hearing us. I'm not aware why that is happening. So let's see if we can try that again, because we were hearing you. Hello, good night. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, we're hearing you, We're hearing you.
Hey, children, good night. I hardly hearing you, man.
Okay, but I'm hearing you very clear, and I realize my voice is coming over, maybe even a little
what
too
I want
high.
to find out there, I see something going in Grenada here, and I don't know if things have to work like that. Now, in the negotiation for the public servant workers, what I have seen one union negotiate first, they get an amount of money, amount of percentage, for the 3 years. And then the other union had to follow suit and take what them get. And I thought all unions supposed to negotiate at one time. We know this union is the president of the union is a minister. So I don't know what went on. I didn't hear nobody talk about it, so I don't know if union could negotiate separately when you're negotiating salary where the government is concerned. Okay?
I understand where you're coming from. Let me say this to you, caller. Unions, unions can negotiate on their own, separate from the other unions. They can do that. But usually what you have joint negotiating teams. Like I believe in this round, the Public Workers Union is negotiating together with TAU in relation to this salary negotiation. The Grenada Union of Teachers decided that they're going off on their own. I think that the police and prisons were working together along with the Public Workers Union, but now they have accepted the offer. For whatever reason, they've accepted the offer. I think the issue that is of more concern to me here is the attempt to destroy the Public Workers Union. I think there is a blatant attempt by this NDC administration to do something that the New National Party never attempted to do. And I think the people within the Public Workers Union for themselves are probably realizing that the NNP never tried to destroy the Public Workers Union. But this NDC administration is going that route. They are attempting to destroy the Public Workers Union. What they call union busting. Yeah. So you have political operatives circulating petition to accept a percentage. There's a specific formula and there's a particular reason why the union has refused thus far to accept the offer as is. This is part of negotiation. But you have political operatives who are pushing the narrative that they ought to accept. Everybody else accepts, so why we can't accept? You understand? Does it take into consideration the cost of living, the percentage increase inflation for the year 2022, 2023, 2024? Does it take into consideration the inflation in those periods that is expected, especially as you see the spring offensive that's expected in the Ukraine is about to happen? And you may say, well, what that has to do with us? A lot to do with us. It's the reason that many of the things that we use here, the prices keep going up. The baked products, anything that's using flour, things that are using dairy products, etc. It's the reason we continue to see the prices of those things going up, and then there's no mitigation on the government level to say, well, okay, we know that the prices are going up here. Let us put this in place to protect the poor and vulnerable in Grenada from the increase in prices on the world market. Let's try to make it, if it was supposed to go up locally by 15%, let's see if we could make it only go up by a 5% instead, or a 10% and save the Grenadian people that 5%. No. Instead of doing that, they're only talking and jumping plane and go all over the place. But the union has its reasoning why they are holding out. So we've had several unions, yes, negotiating on their own, right? Negotiating on their own. But we've seen several things we've never seen with unions this year. We had a trade union leader go in a Mayday and call for the firing of workers. Yeah, in this Grenada. A trade union leader, I don't think, I have followed things throughout the Caribbean. I don't think I've ever heard of a situation where a trade union leader has done something like that. Instead of going and ask to keep workers, and if they need to train them. If they need to be retrained, retrain them. Yeah? But a trade union leader goes and asks you to fire workers in the public service. You have a situation when it comes to public workers and so on. You have a situation outside of trying to bust the union because for whatever reason, they maybe don't like Mr. Brian Grimes again, and they decide they want to get rid of Grimes, Daisy, the whole kit and caboodle, they want to get rid of them. And they are telling people that. The political operatives of the ruling party are telling people that. So they're trying to destroy the union because they don't want to have to deal with any public workers union, so they're trying to destroy the union. It's clear for anybody with common sense to see what is taking place. A petition to order them to accept. I mean, come on. Wait, have you ever seen anything like that happening before? Have you ever seen anything like that happening before? So we're seeing what is being done to the union. You have a situation where there was a permanent secretary who was in an acting position, has been demoted, was represented, was paying his union dues, probably is still paying his union dues, to the Grenada Union of Teachers, approaches his union to defend him. And from what we are hearing, the allegation is they have refused to do it. So now the Public Workers Union had to take up the case of a member of another union because Judas Jude and them refused to take up the fight of that particular worker. Then what are you paying union dues for? They were paying their union dues to the Grenada Union of Teachers. Who's supposed to pick up the case? The Grenada Union of Teachers. Who's supposed to get a lawyer and get everything organized for them and so? The Grenada Union of Teachers. But instead of the Grenada Union of Teachers focus on doing their work, they want to go on platform and call people name. Do your work. This is an individual who has been paying their union dues, and not now, not just the other day, for many years. So now, another union who they're not paying dues to have to go and take up the fight on behalf of that worker. So I buy, so I sell. If I buy wrong, then I could bring it back to the shop and they tell me. But that is what's taking place. You have a situation where a worker is accused. A worker is accused of taking information and bringing for Sheldon, me. And as I told you all last week, and I'll say again, I swear on my parents' grave, and two of them gone to the grave a long time ago. My mother gone 30 years this year, right? My father maybe about 20. Long time they gone. I swear on their grave, that young lady did not give me any information. She didn't give me none. Yeah? She was not the one that gave information. They better start looking at who are wrong them. That's all I was saying in relation to it. Rather than trying to spite other people simply because of a perceived relationship with members of the last cabinet or people who are involved in the new National Party. That is their friend. You see them talking some way. Come on, I worked in that ministry on 2 occasions. I worked in that ministry before 2008, and I worked in that ministry from 2013. I was in that ministry. I must know the people within the ministry and so. So you want to use that as the connection. Oh, you know them. So it must be he to get the information from. And that is public information. What do you mean about shared? That is public information. You can't tell us we ain't supposed to know how much Mr. Patrick Simmons working for and how much Ian Django Thomas working for. You're rude. You're out of order. You were asked that question in Parliament. You refuse to answer it. And you're shame because the information come out otherwise. What we want to know is if the same contract exists for all of the people that you have hired as advisors and so in the different ministries. I mean, I could give already the answer, but the time coming. The time is coming. That's public information. You can't do like that was some state secret and you're dragging a public worker before the Public Service Commission. And the worst thing, they drag them before the Public Service Commission and they go for judicial review and the government lose. The government, and who was one of the people there? Here was the Minister of Labour sister. Was one of the people there representing the government, from what I'm hearing, was one of the people representing the government. They make no case. They couldn't even make a case against them for what they accused them of. Yeah, George Worm writing a set of lies. I could challenge him straight. He write a set of lies in relation to the various aspects of that case. Because if you look at the judgment that was handed down, and you look at what George Worm writes, you realize it's 2 totally different stories. Where he talking about FIU and all kind of thing. I had no FIU involved and all this kind of thing. 2 totally different things. Yeah? So they go to get rid of the public officer and they lose. If I was the public officer, I sue all you. And I sue in George too. Because you don't have to call a person's name. All you have to do is say something that people get to know is that individual. You don't have to call a person. People have this misconception that you have to call a person by their full right name to be able to take them to court, for them to take it to court. That is not true, you know. All you have to do is say enough that everybody generally know who you're talking about. Yeah, that's all you have to do. So I would tell that public officer, sue them. Send home the public officer for how much months? Go and sit down home. Yeah? Then dragging up things from way back in the early 2000s and so. And they're dragging up issues. And according to what the committee that ruled on the case said, but are they bringing up these issues? What issues are these? Because here you all are. You're bringing up issues from 2000 and what, and maybe even 1990 something. They're bringing up issues. They're going to file because they so want to spite. They're so wicked, evil and vile, and want to spite people that they go and they dig in and file for things from since maybe the 1990s and all. to come and bring against people because they want to fire them. But what they fail to recognize is during that period of time, this officer has been getting commendations and has been receiving the going up in status. In other words, they're getting promoted. The same officer. So then they go and they start to put out all kind of thing now because they have the look of faceless goons that does be on the internet putting out all kind of nonsense. Go throwing all kind of thing and saying all kind of thing about people and so on. If all you're so brave, do like Sheldon Scott. Do a live, come out and say what you have to say, call name and say it's true. Don't go and hide to lie behind fake name in different places. I ain't hiding behind no fake name. I look and check any of my devices. I have no fake profile, no fake name. It's me. I say what I have to say here. I believe if I can't say it, I'm not saying it. So I ain't going and hide behind no fake profile to say nothing. I'm saying it as it is right here. Right? I ain't laying my chest bond me. I know it's true. I'm saying it here. All you wicked. The young lady has a sick child that needs medical attention and so on. And having to deal with a sick child. And then they come and put in the young lady under stress because they're accusing her. It's she. And they go now and they lose. Sue them. And they like Susu. Sue them. Because they Susu boss. The national Susu and all gone through. You ain't hear they talking about wash? I hear they went in some country and they went talking about wash or something. And from what I'm hearing, it is alleged that they collect some money for the wash program somewhere. Again, the same applies if you go outside and you collect money or you come here and you collect money. The same applies, eh? Yeah, the same rules accounting-wise apply. The accountant general must know what is going on. There must be a particular way that this is done. You must have a collecting officer, all of that. You don't just go and say, well, we have a national susu and collect money from people in the states. You don't do that. Yeah? But those are the kind of things that we're hearing taking place. And then they go and they hiding. They don't want to come out. They're going in this, they will come out tomorrow and say, well, the Prime Minister is busy, so he could only stay here for 30 minutes or 40 minutes and he needs to go. The Prime Minister is a very busy man. He's meeting with a delegation or somewhere from somewhere or whatever the other. You're the Prime Minister. If you ask the delegation that you could meet at this particular time, unless it's a situation they have a flight to catch to leave the island, then you could set a particular time that you need to meet them. So don't come and try tomorrow about, well, we only have 30 minutes or we only have 15 minutes. And then the Prime Minister come and make two statements and then you tell the media, or you could only ask 2 questions. What kind of nonsense is that? There are things that people need to know. So we are seeing the victimization of that public worker. And then when other workers watch that now, they're afraid to be seen with anybody from the New National Party. They're afraid to be seen talking to anybody from the New National Party. I see people who work in the public service all the time. Some of them are telling me, I say, hey, don't talk to me too loud. They can tell you that. I said, don't talk to me too long. Because when I say what I say, they go say, you that give me the information. So don't talk to me too long. Yeah? Because they're looking at them, and then if anything come out, they go want to spite those people. So to protect some of my friends, or some people that I've worked with in the past, I doesn't even want to talk to them. Yeah? I don't even want them to call me on my phone because I know they bugging phone. I know they tapping phone. I ain't guessing. I know they tapping phone and listening in on people's conversations. At what level it is being done, I don't know, but it is being done. Yeah, and that's not an accusation. That is a statement of fact, what this government is doing. Yeah? So I ain't hiding and put my mouth in no bag to say it. All you're doing it. Yeah? If it's not trying to hack people's computer, it's trying to find out who people talking to on their phone. That's the kind of thing that's going on right now. And the victimization of anybody. Imagine, you've heard it from Mr. Gregory Boyne a short while ago. You heard a young man calling in relation to that from St. David last week, that they're going to these constituency offices and being asked who you vote for. So whether that is coming from the MP themselves, the political structure, or somebody that just feels is a ground god in an office, it is wrong. And we know they're getting the message, we know they're hearing that's being said on this program. So they need to get rid of these people out of the office who are doing that, or they need to get them to do their job properly. I've seen situations where you have people that working for one of the constituency offices because they see me around. They want nothing to do with this one. They want nothing to do with that one. I want nothing to do with them now. What are you doing there? What are you doing around? That's what a nonsense. That's the attitude of these individuals. But you know what? I often say it, I watched this movie before. I don't have to wait until the credits roll to know how it ends. I know how this movie does go. I've seen this movie before. I know what part 1 does look like, and I know what the end of the series does look like. I know how this movie ends. So they better be careful how they're treating people. Very careful how they're treating people. I'm giving them free advice. Be very careful how all you're treating people. And at the same token, I'll continue to call on the New National Party supporters to get out there and do the work. And do the work means to canvass. Do the work means to walk from house to house. Do the work means to speak out on different issues. Because to me, like some of you, afraid to speak out on certain issues. Speak out, whether it's you call a program and speak out on it, or whether it's you go in the village, by the bar in the village and you and the guys talk, or you go and sit down by the mango tree or wherever and you and the guys talk, but speak out on these issues. Because when we speak, we realize that action is taken, but they don't want to give us the praise. They don't want to give us the praise. So when we came out and we spoke about the issue with the barbers and the hairdressers and so on, you realize what they do. They start to address it because they realize, hey, them people making sense what they're saying, and because they never think of it that way. And then they start to throw the people in the committee itself under the bus and send them to go and say, okay, well, we pull back on this or we pull back on that and we extend this and we're giving you an amnesty on this amount and all of that. And they're sending these people out to come and say that, but they're doing it on a Friday because they're ashamed. They want to do it in the week where it will end up in mainline news and things. So they're putting it on a Friday or late Thursday. You know, sometime late on a Friday evening, they're sending out this information because they don't want it to really go out there, but they want to know that anybody asks, they could say, well, look, since the 2nd of this month or since the 5th of this month, we had sent out that. How come you don't know? Because you send it out on a Friday. You don't want people to know. You don't want it to be mainline news. So unless we speak about it here, a lot of people don't know. So you give an amnesty now on part. We're saying that it is still too expensive. The expensive part of this thing is when the individual has to go to the NTA to be certified there. Which school it have, which barber school it have in Grenada for people to go and say to go in and get a hair, go and cut here and so and get the certificate. So they must go through the NTA, but it's an expensive process to go through the NTA. Simplify the process, reduce the cost of the process. Yeah? Simplify, reduce the cost of the process in this instance because you're starting up. So that the barber has to go and find a $3,000-$4,000, simplify it, and provide the funding through the GDB. We're going to continue to say that because they're giving you the impression now that they have an amnesty and they say you don't have to pay. No. The amnesty is on part, not the full thing, part of the money that has to be paid for the certificate itself, the certification as a barber, right? For your business certification, not for your certification, for the business certification through the Allied Health Council. But for what they have to do in the NTA, nothing has been reduced in relation to that. It has not been simplified. So they still have to go through that process. And each week is 1 week closer to when they have to have it done by. We know you want to tax them. We understand that. But at least be reasonable with them. Yeah? So these are the things that we see happening. These are the things we see going on here in Grenada right now that need to be addressed. Yeah? But they have nothing to say. So when they go on to me, I'm very interested. I want to hear. So as soon as I'm finished listening to Brother Cox on GBN, I will be switching to go and listen to the GIS to hear what the Prime Minister has to say. And I think they say, speaking about the Royal Grenada Police Force, I'm very interested because I have a lot of people that are very upset within the ranks of the Royal Grenada Police Force right now. A lot of people that are very, very, very upset. Yeah? And they are upset because promises were made to them, you know. You're demoting man left, right, and center. You're skipping people who score high on the exam and give people who don't even write exam position simply because the one who don't write the exam is a supporter, as far as you have heard and you're concerned, of the NDC. So they get rank. And the person who has passed the exam had the required number of years and experience and everything. You refuse to give them the rank simply because you perceive them to be a supporter of the new national party. You wasn't in the voting booth to them. You don't know where to put the X, you know. But you perceive them to be and woe be unto you if you are close relatives, brother, sister, husband, wife, even cousin, carrying the same name of a member, senior member of the new national party, you know, woe be unto you. Or if you used to work on the prime minister's detail, the former prime minister's detail, or anything like that, woe be unto you. That is what's going on in this place right now. So we need to hear them speak on it. And we've been calling on them to speak on this issue of national security since last year, when you had that spate of robberies coming up to Christmas, armed robberies that was taking place. We asked for them to speak. Now you have a situation where you have more murders in the first 5 months of this year than you had for the entire of 2022. We're not saying necessarily that you're to blame. You know. Some people will say you're to blame. I wouldn't say you're to blame. But I'd say that you have to stand up and say we're not going to accept this in our country. We are putting measures A, B, and C in place to deal with this. Not only from the police perspective, but for mental health patients. What are you going to do? Are you going to make sure that they have the medication? And if there's a situation that someone is showing violent tendencies, that person is brought in, assessed, and if they need to receive treatment, that they receive treatment or so on? Are you going to do that? Or you're just coming to say, well, we hear it's an issue with the police and nothing wrong with the police. No, come on out. And there are different things that you need to address. Address them. There are several issues that need to be addressed. Especially when it comes to the men and women of the Royal Grenada Police Force. They were all over the place talking before, you know, about police suffering and police going through this and police going through that. So they're doing now like if all of that has changed, because they come in, they want to talk pay and grade. So the police accept the increase, the 13%. But you want to talk pay and grade with them yet? Yeah, you want to talk, you want to have that conversation? Or that is where you come in and say tomorrow that you gain them the pay and grade. And what about the fringe benefits and all those kind of things? Police officers want to know. And I'm not saying this off the top of my head, and I'm saying this because police officers have said it to me. They want to know what is going on. So there's quite a bit of questions that I'm hoping that he's asked tomorrow. Yeah? And even with what is taking place with the Public Service Commission being used as a weapon against anybody that's perceived to be a supporter of the new national party that is working within the government service. And the uneven hand that is being used by the NDC administration when dealing with public servants, whether they are perceived to be supporters of the new national party or the supporters of the NDC. You know much people are public servants right now was wearing the yellow t-shirt, or even on the night of the 23rd of June, how much of them was wearing the yellow NDC t-shirt? Including nurses, all kind of thing, had on their yellow NDC t-shirt. But you didn't see the Public Service Commission go behind them. But some in Karakou, they say, well, he was at this rally and he was seen wearing an NNP t-shirt and he was here and he was there, and they send them home. So it's uneven, it's hypocritical. What is being done? Don't worry, we are going home in a while. It's hypocritical. What is going on? That's the kind of nonsense that's taking place. And we are expected to just accept it as nothing. Yeah? The uneven hand with which they're doing things. So you go, you're trying to spite somebody, you go in the Public Service Commission, you go and you raise a case against them, and you go and you dig in the file until 2000 and this, 1990 what, and all kind of thing to try and bring a case against it and lose. And there are others that are coming up that you intend to do the same thing to, that you will lose. There are people that you have demoted, that when it ends up in the courts, you're going to lose. And in many instances, when these people pursue you in civil court, you're going to end up having to pay them hundreds of thousands of dollars per person. From police officers to other people working within the public service that you have demoted or just sent home arbitrarily and so on, and you have shown bias in relation to how you're doing that, so it's clear that it's victimization that's taking place, your day will come in court. Folks, I think that's all the time we have for tonight. It's been wonderful being here with you. I know a lot of people didn't expect the program to be on. Yes, it'll be on. Don't worry, even if it's a holiday, I'm around. So we will be on. Somebody was asking me about the Saudi Arabian money. I'll get some information in relation. I'm not clear what is taking place there, and I have some questions in relation to that myself. So, folks, that's all the time we have for Talking Points tonight. It's been wonderful being here with you after some of you getting ready for work in the morning and that kind of thing. So it's been nice being here with you, and everything you say and do it safe and secure. We want to be speaking to and with you and not about you. I am out.
Farmers getting people between me and you. Don't stop the progress. Don't stop the progress. Don't stop the progress. Don't stop it. National Stadium. Don't stop it. Fish market in town. Don't stop it. The bus terminal. Don't stop it. Cruise ships and all. Don't stop it. General Hospital. Don't stop it. Nurses Coast and town. Don't stop it. Depot expansion. Don't stop it. Here police station. Don't stop the progress. Don't stop the progress. Don't stop the progress. Don't stop the progress. Don't stop it. Don't stop it. Don't stop it. Don't stop it. People, it was never easy. So much obstacles that faced with MLD hurricane. Ivan came and destroyed our nation. Government and people working hand in hand. Did what we had to do to rebuild our nation. Now we getting praises all over the world. No reason to turn back now. Let's keep striving for goal. I say don't stop the progress. Don't stop the progress. Don't stop the progress.